Hello everyone, this is Victor Ling from NewStars Migration Canberra. It's very good to see you all. Hope you all well, and back to work from COVID-19. Actually, we have been just back to office since last Monday. So if you guys want to make an appointment with us, you can start to call us and to arrange a face-to-face consultation. So today, back to the topic. It's been a while since I talked about metrics. If you read, some of you, if you keeping eyes on the metrics invitation closely, you will notice last week the ACT government issued over 400 invitations for 190 metrics, and that has been a lot. And we've been getting a lot of inquiries about the invitations and what's the points, the trend of the points for the coming rounds or for the coming financial years, and any predictions for the coming years, any suggestions for individual cases. So today I think I will spend about 20 to 30 minutes time talk about metrics, new financial year, and the points, the trend, and what groups of the potential applicants I will recommend to consider ACT migration programs. To start with, what is metrics? I believe some of the viewers will be new followers on our channel. Metrics is a system specially designed for ACT nomination programs. So on the federal level, you have EOI points. That is the points you need to meet to be able to qualify for skilled migration stream. So currently it's 65 points. ACT governments design a system called metrics using different criteria to calculate the points, and they will invite the applicants basing on the metrics points. So once you have over 65 points on the EOI, you are qualified, you are eligible to start to look at the the state nomination streams. Then the ACT governments will invite you basing on your metrics points. So it's a different separated point system, because this is a very common question we're getting from people who are not familiar with the metrics. They've been confusing about EOI metrics. So metrics is a different point testing system, and I will spend some time when it comes to the parts for suggesting those people should come to Canberra, and I'll go through the compositions of the metrics point. So it's a metric thing, and current invitation round we got, as I mentioned, currently the invitation round goes to 65 points. So last invitation round, if you notice, for 190 metrics specifically, currently ACT have 190 metrics and 491 metrics. Last invitation round, ACT government has cleared out the 190 metrics submitted on or before 30th of December. That means last fiscal year, before the 1st of July, 1st of January, anyone who applied for metrics with the points over 65 has been invited. That's something quite significant if you look at the general trend of the metric system. Because if you remember, or if you have the knowledge, starting from the 1st of January, ACT government applied different rules in terms of metric rules. And that means it was more stricter, the requirements higher. Only those people with 5-year residency in Canberra or the occupations with open occupation will be eligible to apply for the metrics 190 after 1st of January. That happens 1st of January this year. So anyone who applied before that doesn't been affected by the rules. But the current system has been cleared out all those people who submitted 190 metrics before the date, 1st of January. So we can talk about, pretty much that means those people who applied before the new rules has been invited. And that is something quite significant. Actually 65 points, it is the lowest point during the past about 6 months time. So it is the lowest points for the 190 metrics during the past 6 months time. It gone to 65. So let's bring up questions. I have a lot of clients calling us asking, will 65 become something normal? And with 65 points, even 60 points, only 190, do I got a chance to be invited in the coming months? So that's the questions we often get asked. And also there's a different group of people who more interested in 491 visa, and they're also asking about the questions such as it hasn't been any invitation during the past 2-3 rounds for 491 metrics. Why was that, and what will be the point look like in the new financial year? So to answer those questions, I'd like to talk about first thing, as I always mention, in my speech about ACT nomination, that is allocations. We all understand once you have, for example, 2,000 allocations, you have more to offer comparing to if you just have 500 overall. That so it's simple like supply and demand situation. Financial yearly, this financial year, ACT government have 1,400 allocation overall, and it divides 200 go to 491, 1,200 go to 190. And this has been in June. We only have 1 month left. The current situation is pretty much, that is, go like this. 491, there was pretty much not much of allocation left because there's only 200. We don't have the figure. The state government doesn't share the figure with you, but basing on the general roughly calculations, we thought it's pretty much the 491 allocations should be about to run out. It's out of this 200. And for 190 allocations, ACT government did reply before they still got 100 and something left till last invitation round. So but last round they invite 400, more over 400 people to apply for state nominations. And if these 400 people use this 100 allocation, that means that is the end of this financial year. Otherwise, if out of these 400 people, there are a lot of invalid application, there are a lot of people get refused, they may end up with 400 people only get maybe 70 or 80 official nominations, then we're probably expecting another invitation round in mid-June. If you go on the website of ACT government, you will see currently there was no indications there will be a new invitation round in June. You can think that's pretty much the idea. The officers are waiting for the result of this current invitation round. So this is what happens within this financial year. Allocation is about to run out, which is very normal. This is end of the financial year, beginning of June. What about next financial year? We heard this from different channels, and I've been speaking about this a couple of times. ACT government suggesting they were looking for something around 1,400, so pretty much the same allocation figures like this financial year for next one, and they will distribute 50% out of this 1,400 to 190, and another 50% go to 491. So next financial year, ideally, you'll be looking at 700 for 190 and 700 for 491. That will cause some differences. First of all, to 190 applicants, this year you have 1,200 allocation, but next financial year it will drop down to 700. That means somewhere around 40% to 50% drop. That means the supply reduce. So the supply reduce. Then will the points go up? Will the points remain the same, or will the points going down? We know the supply is reduced. Then it's all about demands. What about the demands? From my perspective, I think the demand also dropped as well, simply because, as I mentioned, from the 1st of January, the requirement to apply for 190 metrics raising up dramatically. It's only 2 where you can satisfy the requirements. A lot of people not satisfied the requirement. That's reason 1. So even during the past 6 months, from January till now, we kind of seeing the dropping numbers of applying 190, even from our agency. We can see that very obviously. That's reason 1. Reason 2 is the COVID-19. A lot of people were stuck, outside of Australia. They not be able to meet their criteria soon enough to apply for this nomination. So a lot of people are stuck, not qualified for the 190 190 metrics criteria. So in the balance where you will see, I would think in a short time you will see the demand drops and the supply drops. That means currently the point 65 points. I think it'll probably remain the same, or somewhere around about close in the coming months. This for 190. So my guessing is somewhere around 65 points 65 points to 60 points possibly. It's the figures for probably the beginning of next financial year. As to 491 visa, this financial year, remember that? I just mentioned it's 200 allocation this financial year. Next financial year, it will go up to 700, so 3 times more. That means supplies, raising up, and demands. Again, demands probably the same situation. We like to talk about the potential applicants. We have figures. I have figures. We have figures from Australian governments. If we're talking about, the potential applicants, I like to talk about maybe one of them is Chinese applicants. We can see from the data from the departments that is around 40% of international students originally from China are still stuck in China. So that means that will show pretty much the same figure to ACT area. That means if you're talking about international students from China, that's about 40% of people stuck in China. They are potential applicants. They should be, some of them should be applicants, some of them should get nominated, nominated, but they are stuck in China. They're not qualified for anything. And to other, groups, for example, Indians, Nepal, I think there will be some people also stuck in China, in their home country. Maybe not like 40%. Probably will see 10% or 15%. So basically means within the groups of applicants in Canberra, there are a lot of people not in Canberra. Yeah, they are outside of Australia. It's all up to see what is going to happen in the coming months in terms of COVID-19, and in terms of travel bans. Will they come back? Will they like to come back even when the travel ban was lifted? So I think for those people who are seriously considering Australian migrations, not just ACT nominations, it's actually somehow really create a chance for you. That is because a lot of your competitors are stuck in their home country. They'll not be able to return to Australia. So for 491, we can see 3 times more allocation for next financial year. Some competitors of yours are not in Canberra anymore, and the points currently, it is also remaining somewhere around 60 to 65. I believe will be the figure we're looking at in the coming months. And there's another news I like to bring about. That is the budget, Australian budget announcement. Normally, how the system works is Australian government firstly they announce the 2020 and 2021 Australian financial budget, and then following that, there will be a thing we call Australian migration planning. That is normally created or designed or adjusted to be in line with the Australian financial budget. But this year, it will be delayed until October. And then if the migration plan accordingly delayed until October, we're probably going to see some change or some delay to state governments allocations, because once before each state government receiving a confirmed figures from the federal governments, they probably will be very cautious about issuing too much because they don't know how much they're going to get. But this is something we're still waiting for confirmation from relevant parties. Will this budget delay cause some delayed, related to state nomination, not just in Canberra, but all Australia around? Probably there will be some news in the coming weeks. But once we have that confirmed, we'll post that on our Facebook, so you will know there will be something. We should expecting some delays, during the time July, August, September, probably October, because state government is waiting the federal's direction. That's simply put like that. So that's something we'll probably want to pay attention to. And about the points, I know a lot of clients like to know. A lot of people want to know points, like how many points do I have, how many points will I get invited? Is it promising? And again, but as I'm saying, we can't do predictions, but simply looking at the general trend of the metrics. Currently, it's already 38 invitation rounds, so it actually creates a trend or a chart you can compare to. So compare to the chart and to see how many points you have, and considering all the factors, like as I mentioned, like allocations is the most important things determine the points, and then the second thing is your competitors. How many competitors do you have? Currently, ACT definitely not attracting a lot of people to come, because it's a quite complicated system metrics. It doesn't show the huge attractions like Tasmania. People will rushing into Tasmania. So you probably won't see a lot of people competing for the higher points. But it is still one of the good states. So those people who find themselves quite fitting into the system, those people find themselves could get reasonable competitive points in the ACT metrics, still considering move to ACT. That brings to the next part I'd like to talk about. Which group of people should starting maybe to consider ACT first. Again, we'd like to talk about ACT occupation list that is open and closed. I would suggest those people, when I say those people, what I mean is those candidates who currently live outside of Canberra, people staying in Sydney, Melbourne, or Brisbane. If you with an open occupation in ACT occupation list, you can find this occupation list online on ACT online. So if your occupation is one of those open ones, and particularly those open ones without any covenants, so without those small dots, on the top, that means there was no other special requirements. If you are one of those occupations, that means you already have those skill assessment. You probably should seriously consider about ACT nomination, because why is that? Because once you have a nomination occupation on the ACT open occupation list, you will automatically gain 20 points out of the metric system. As we mentioned before, the invitation point now is somewhere around 65. So you automatically get about 1/3 of points because of the advantage of your occupation. So as long as your occupation is open, you should definitely pay attention to ACT migration programs. There are a lot of occupations actually are determined as open ones on the current occupation list, which we will be reviewed at the beginning of July. But ACT government suggests there will be minor reviews. The major groups or major common ones, such as all those engineers, a lot of engineers are currently open. So for example, if you're a civil engineer, it's an open occupation. That means you have 20 points, without doing anything. If you move to Canberra, staying for certain timing and meet the basic eligibility, you have 20 points compared to those who are on another list that is closed occupation. So construction is a big group. And then, for example, all those nurses are also open occupations. And then those, and another major group is also IT students. But again, as I do mention, IT students are those occupations with the covenants. That means you have to find employments, specific levels of employments to be able to determine yourself as open occupation. So, but there's still a lot of space. We got a lot of consultations from people with, for example, with the occupation skill assessment as quantity surveyor, architecture, graphic designer, illustrator, web designer, all those engineers. They are looking for the chances to migrate to Canberra. I would say, look at if your occupation is one of those open ones, definitely look at the chart, and then compare yourself to the metrics point system, and to see if you have somewhere around 55 or 60 points now, because you will be able to gain your points after you move to Canberra. If you stay in Canberra, for example, over 6 months time, you get 5 points, and then you get any kind of employments, over 20 hours per week, over 6 months time, you get another extra 5 points. So the points grows. This is how metric system works. Some of the points grow by time. If you stay in Canberra for reasonably time, 6 months time, 12 months time, your metric points will jump up to a higher points. But without the help of 20 points of you're getting from open occupation, probably you won't be very your points won't be very competitive compared to those ACT residents. Bear in mind, you are competing with ACT residents. Even, for example, if your occupation is accountant, then it's a closed occupation, you have 0 points. ACT local students whose skill assessment is accountant, they get 0 points from the skill assessment criteria. That is true. So you are tied on the occupation, points 0 to 0. But they have been living in Canberra for 4 years, 5 years time. They will get 10, 15 points, 20 points out of residency points, and that is their advantage. So you won't be able to overweight land in the points, but with the help of 20 points from open occupations, you are competing with the local applicants. And another interesting thing is they want many open occupation candidates in Canberra, simply because of the university here, which are University of Canberra and Australian National University. They don't have a lot of majors will produce those open occupation candidates, such as, as I mentioned, quantity surveyors, architects, engineers. So a lot of potential candidates with open occupation are actually not in Canberra. So that give you a chance. That give you a chance to look at the possibilities to move to Canberra and competing with the local students. And the majority of local students are actually with closed occupation, not open occupation. So I have been mentioned this a couple of times, and I would like to raise this attention to some potential applicants who are really interested in ACT migration program. That is, if your occupation is an open occupation, please look at the matrix point system, calculate your points. To see how many points you have now. Once you have the points somewhere close to the current invitation points, you probably can think about it and getting to know more about the possibilities. And of course, you also need to do some research regarding to moving to Canberra, settle in Canberra, renting a house in Canberra, find a job in Canberra, particularly the job, because job is one of the eligibilities you need to satisfy. Either it's relevant jobs or irrelevant job to your skill assessment, but it's something you need to work out if you want to apply for ACT nomination. Another thing you want to bear in mind is a lot of occupations need to have proficiency level or English in order to satisfy the basic requirement to apply for ACT nomination. That means 7 each in IELTS and 65 each in PT. That is a must for a lot of applicants. So if you won't be able to hit the levels of English, then you won't be able to satisfy the criteria. This is pretty much the end of 2019 and 2020 financial year. We also like to thank all those followers has been follow our news and our live speech about metrics, and we should be able to see some potential change or potential confirmed news in the coming weeks or 1 or 2 months ahead. Once there's a confirmed, I believe the pathways for individuals will become more clear and more certain for the applicants. And but currently, as I mentioned, even with these such challenging times in Australia, not just in Australia but also worldwide, ACT migration still remains quite stable. Within all those programs. If your occupation is open, pay attention to ACT migration metric system, and then we'll keep you updated once there is any news and any major change. I'll bring you the latest announcement and analysis. This is pretty much about what I'd like to talk about today. If you have any questions relating to metric system, please leave your message on the Facebook. And you can follow our Facebook page simply by @NewStars ACT, or Instagram also NewStars ACT. Particularly the Facebook one, you'll be able to get all metric relevance informations firsthand. We always do that the first once we receive anything updated. Follow our Facebook page, and if you are in Canberra now, or it's not too difficult for you to visit Canberra, if you are interested in Canberra metric system, you're always happy to book appointment with us. Thank you guys for watching. Take care, and hope you all have a very bright futures in your migration plans, regardless of all those challenges ahead. I think metrics is definitely one of the choice you should look at, particularly if you're open occupations. that's pretty much that. This is Victor from NewStar Migration. Thank you for watching.